Hey everyone, Dr. Richard Lai here with Study Acupuncture With Me. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Richard, and the goal with Study Acupuncture With Me is just to make acupuncture topics basically very easy to understand, very easy for you to apply, and that way you feel confident when you're in the clinic treating real life patients, and you feel really confident when you're going into the board exams and tackling those questions. So today we're going to talk about something very tricky, which is mixed patterns in terms of diagnoses and how we treat them. So specifically, we're going to talk about a case where we will see spleen qi deficiency combined with damp accumulation, which is a really common pattern that we see in the clinic. So let's walk through it together in terms of the reasoning, in terms of the manifestations, in terms of the treatment principle. Maybe we'll even talk about some points, and along the way, I'll talk about my thoughts about how we would go about treating, whether we treat the root first or the manifestations first or whatever. All right, so first, let's picture in our heads that we're treating a patient who is 38 years old. She's an office worker. She says, I feel tired all the time. I feel heavy. I feel like I'm dragging my feet through mud. My appetite is not amazing. I get bloated after I eat. And when you ask her about her stools are soft, they're kind of loose. You look at her tongue, it's pale tongue. It has a thick, sticky white coating. You palpate their pulse. Her pulse is weak. It's a little bit soggy. So if that was in front of you on the computer when you're taking the board exam, you would probably start to pick up on some of the manifestations, which two big things probably stick out to you, which is the loose stools, the poor appetite, the tiredness, right? The fatigue, the weak pulse. Weak pulse is qi deficiency. So all that together would point you towards spleen qi deficiency. Now there's another thing there though. There's this heaviness. There's the thick, sticky coating. So that is an excess type. That is our dampness accumulating. So then you would see, oh, this is mixed. This is both excess and a deficiency. So let's talk about it and break it down a little bit. So here's what's really happening. Basically, we have the spleen, and the spleen qi is very weak, so it's not transforming and transporting fluids appropriately. Those fluids, they start to accumulate in the body, and over time, they will congeal into dampness. And so the root of the problem is the qi deficiency. The branch or the outward manifestation, that's the dampness. And if we explain it in plain English to our patients, it's basically the body's metabolism, and it's not running at full speed. So because the body is not metabolizing everything appropriately, waste is going to pile up and there's going to be fluid accumulation. Another analogy that you can give your patient is you can imagine like your body and your spleen is like a factory, and the spleen's a factory worker. And the factory worker's job is just to keep the assembly line moving. So they're grabbing items, packaging boxes, they're moving things into different parts of the factory to get them into shipping trucks so it could be sent out to wherever they need to go. That's how your spleen transforms and transports. It takes the food and it transforms it and it boxes it, packages it up and turns them into qi and blood, and it moves it to different parts of the body. Lately though, your factory worker unfortunately has been exhausted. Your factory worker is not paid enough. Your factory worker is overworked. She is maybe living off of coffee. She's taking food from the vending machine. That's all she's eating for lunch. And so because she's tired, because she's overworked, she starts to slow down. And so she's not transforming things appropriately. So what happens? Boxes start to pile up on the factory floor. So that's basically like the fluid that's accumulating, or the dampness that's accumulating in your body. Now, depending though on how severe the condition is, that lets you know whether or not you need to first clear the boxes out, or you need to take care of your factory worker first. That's the difference between either treating the manifestation first or treating the root first. If the condition is severe and life-threatening, then you treat the manifestation first. After all the manifestations are cleared, you go back and you treat the root. Basically, you get them out of the acute phase. If the manifestations, though, are mild and they are few, then it's a safe condition where you can treat the root. Like, for example, you can tonify spleen qi, which will then slowly take care of the dampness, as long as the dampness is not too severe and life-threatening. So again, it's all about how severe the issue is. Another example, if you have a patient who's bleeding profusely, and they have blood pressure issues, they're fainting, and they fell, they hit their head, or they're at risk for falls, that's a severe issue. So you need to stop the bleeding first, make sure its bleeding is stopped, then you go back and you start to treat the root, which could be like spleen not holding blood or spleen Qi deficiency, for example. So our treatment principle for our patient who is dragging their feet through mud, who's an office worker, 38 years old, who is just tired, overworked, loose stools, all that stuff, what would we do? We would strengthen the spleen, we would tonify Qi, and we would transform the dampness that's in their body. And this office worker, she's young, she's 38 years old. The symptoms seem pretty mild and pretty few. So she can handle tonification first. In fact, she can probably handle both at the same time. If though she was like an 88-year-old person, they can only mostly handle like a few needles at a time, because that sometimes can overwhelm their body and cause them more deficiency, because we are overloading them with too many needles and trying to get their body to work more than the Qi that they have. So if she was someone who's elderly, we might overwhelm them. So we might just have to tonify lightly, just some points to tonify lightly. So now let's bring this into real world application. So in real life, in terms of how we would treat this patient, we would be clearing dampness, tonifying Qi, and helping the spleen out. So to clear the dampness, we can clear dampness by using something like Spleen 9, which can drain damp. We can use Stomach 40 to transform phlegm. It can also transform damp. We can also use Ren 12 in order to regulate the middle jiao, and that can also move some fluid through the middle jiao as well. We can also start to build support in their body by adding points like Stomach 36. We can use also Spleen 6 that can tonify Qi, that can also strengthen the spleen. We can also include a point like UB20, which is the backshoot point of the spleen, which can tonify spleen even more. And that would help to reinforce digestion, and that could also help them to just get the nutrition that they need. And so that's a lot of points, and not everyone's constitution can handle all of that at once. And so that's why it's important for us to see if the symptoms are either mild and few, or they're severe and life-threatening. So this kind of mixed pattern is really common in the clinic. We'll see it in people who have chronic fatigue, digestive issues, like their digestion has slowed. It's basically like this heaviness that they walk through life with, and they'll have this lingering tiredness, this lingering foggy feeling. And everyone will be a little bit different, so everyone will be treated in a different way. And this kind of example where it's a mixed case is a really great example of how traditional Chinese medicine, we really focus on the unique patient presentation. We don't just say what are the symptoms and we treat the symptoms. We ask all the questions to get the patient's presentation, their unique presentation. And then in terms of treatment, we cater it to them in terms of their constitution. So how much do we treat? When do we treat? It's all very different. You could either treat the manifestation first, treat the root first, treat the manifestation, then the root. You could treat them both simultaneously. You can just treat the root with some points. Not too many, not to overload them. You could treat them with a lot if they're able to handle it. Just a lot of different ways that you could treat the patient. So that's today's case. That's spleen Qi deficiency with some damp accumulation. And I hope you found this helpful. If you did find it helpful, I hope you share this episode with a friend, with a classmate, with another acupuncturist. If you're studying for your boards, I wish you the best of luck. If you're just starting the school year out, good luck. You're in an amazing field. Now, if there's a particular pattern that you want me to break down next, you can comment below or you can send me a message on Instagram, which is @StudyAcuWithMe. All right, everyone. Until next time, God bless and happy studying.